Welcome, friends, back to the Screening Club podcast, where we talk all about the media you love. I'm here, as always, with my two associates, my brother Chris and our good friend Mike. How are you guys doing?
What's up? Good, how are you?
I'm good. Chris, I don't know if I can speak for all of PAX when I can say that you're one of the originators of PAX East. Is it true that you've been attending PAX East from the very beginnings?
Yep, the very first one.
Really?
At the Heinz Convention Center.
You were at the first one?
The first PAX East, yeah, not the first PAX, but the first PAX East, yep.
And then, 2 years ago now,
So it's just Chris and a bunch of wannabes.
Yeah, well, not the original.
Exactly. Sean didn't go to the first one. Our good friend Sean didn't go to the first one, but he's been to every one since, I think.
So, we're up here in the Northeast, and I think many of you have probably heard of PAX East, the convention. And me and Chris were both there this weekend, although I only on one day, on Saturday. And as always, Chris declines to have FaceTime with me while we're at the event because he's such a local, Do you walk around PAX East? See, I haven't seen him in person inside the convention center, so I don't know. Do you walk around with like an air of superiority at PAX East?
No, I try to just get to where I'm going. But I did, Jeff, I did try to
He does have a special placard, I think, that sort of elevates him above everyone else.
I invited you to the hotel, and you declined.
You did. Well, you did invite me, but it's very, when Chris is at PAX East, it's very, you work on his schedule. That's what Chris is all about at PAX East. Like, I couldn't say, because the group I was with kept saying, isn't your brother here? Isn't your brother here? And I'd say, yeah, but like, well, you work around his schedule.
It's a crazy event. It's really hard to meet up. Like, it's hard.
Well, Chris has been planning this event in his head for like a year out. Every year he makes a mental list of all the places he needs to see, all the lines he has to sit in, all the panels he has to.
I know Chris has a lot of places he needs to be at PAX East.
So I can't blame him. He's not there for anyone else but himself. And
it's not true.
For you, Chris.
There's a lot of things I'd like to go to. There's a lot of things I'd like to go to.
Mike has something here.
Listen, there's a lot of things
I'd like to... That's not a critique. I think that good for you.
Thank you. But I want to say that there's a lot of things I'd like to have gone to, but I was with my good friends, so I can't. Because I don't want to drag them to all these things that they don't want to see.
Really? Well, I walked in. I got my friends, Jacob and Steph, were already there, and they pointed me right in the direction of where I could acquire a free t-shirt. So I went in. I acquired the free t-shirt from forgetting the company. I have the t-shirt.
Must have been a good t-shirt.
It's the it starts with an L. Oh, from Logitech.
Oh, okay.
And they gave me a free t-shirt, and then I went in. It's so crowded, and you know me, Chris. I really not a big fan of like very dense crowds.
It's the largest PAX now.
Really?
And yeah, it's huge, and the show floor is just so crowded.
What were your highlights, Chris?
My highlights every year. Every year I've gone to the Mega 64 panel. Always.
Did you get the picture?
Every year I get a picture with them. Always. Okay. I'll tell you a funny story also about a podcast. They recorded a podcast live on the show floor at their booth, and when you go look at the podcast, you can see me walking by, and it makes me feel so sad, because if I had just chosen to go up and buy something at that moment, I would have been on the podcast, but instead I'm just walking by and staring at their booth. Yeah, I've had enough FaceTime with them. One of their panels, they record their panels and put it up on YouTube. One of their panels, they go and the guy shakes my hand. Like, you can see.
We've all seen the video,
it's
Chris.
Great video.
We've all. You're gonna have to post it now.
I played a little bit of SteamWorld Dig 2, which I liked. I got to play around with the Switch, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch, which was fun. I hadn't gotten my hands on the Switch before then. And a little bit of VR stuff. It was some VR experience off the main floor.
There's just so many lines, just so many lines. And then, like, I find it really funny at PAX, and I think it's great that they have this following, but these, these internet personalities, the only real place for all of the fans to converge is at these conventions. So it just must be surreal for them to live their life, 360 whatever days a year. They're just an average guy, but you go to this convention and there's just these hordes of people, like these YouTube personalities. And it's great, they have a following and a community, but it just must be surreal for them to show up and all of a sudden you're like on the very same level as like the world celebrities for like this weekend. So I enjoy that. I enjoy people watching at these events because there's some characters.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now, Chris, you never dress up, right?
No.
Why?
I'm not against it. Just there's too much work. Think about having to go through all of that and also be in a costume.
You would dress up if it wasn't work?
Yeah. If it wasn't work, yeah. Wouldn't you?
We have ourselves a new project for next year.
I would not dress up.
I think I'd make a good Roadhog from Overwatch.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, well, sorry.
I saw that game all over the place, though.
Yeah, it's a huge game.
But you had a good time?
Oh, yeah, great time, as always.
Scale from, now, PAX scale. So the best PAX you've ever been to was 10. What's your rating of this PAX from 1 to 10? Relative to other PAXs.
I'd say a solid 7, because I had to miss a lot of the Friday because I had to work.
What's the worst PAX?
Worst PAX might have been the first one.
That's the worst. I was thinking he was gonna be like, oh well, those first few were solid 10s, like the ones that no one else.
Well,
the
first one was very small because it was in a smaller convention center, and there weren't many good games there because it wasn't the juggernaut that it was today. So like companies aren't clamoring to bring their games like they are now.
Year, Chris invited me to his hotel suite, and then we get to play that game where you answer on your phone.
Yeah,
like that was a nice time.
Fibbage.
But then this year, I really realized that this man has no interest in actually seeing me at the event. Only I can attend his after party. That's all I can go to.
I've been invited to the after party in the past as well.
The after parties, all comers get to go to the after party. Speaking of that, there's a Jackbox Party Pack 3 I got for this year's after party, and it was very fun. Highly recommend that game.
Well, we'll have to play it together at some point. But lots of good TV this week, guys.
Oh yeah,
you two have been watching Legion.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what's going on.
Legion, I've come to realize, is a show where anything can happen, much like Atlanta. Week by week, you just never know what you're gonna get.
Legion's a freaking bonkers show, and this is distracting me. I'm sorry. It can be kind of difficult to follow along at times. I feel like it's sort of it's so specific to the headspace of our main character David, and what's going on with him internally. That really is the show itself. That's sort of what I've realized, is that it's really not about what's going on outside the world. It's not what's going on a plot level. It's singularly about what's going on inside this.
What's happening to our main
character's very demented mind. And now we've learned with this most recent episode that we learned more specifically about the so-called parasite, the devil with the yellow eyes, that has latched onto his body, and that's really all it wants.
Yeah, at first I was kind of disappointed because it made me say like, wow, it's not. And they bring this up in the show like, oh man, he's just like a normal dude then, and it's this like being inside of him that's giving him his powers. But then I forget who says it, but someone says, no, he actually has to be like a world-class mutant to survive this long with the parasite. Any other like a regular human would have just like shriveled and died, but his body is just so strong and he doesn't even know it that he's able to survive. But the thing I just liked how this episode it reflected back on itself with the first episode, because we're back in the mental institution, but everything's a little bit off. And,
a little bit,
yeah. And even like callbacks to like the spit falling from the guy's mouth. There's that scene. But what did you think of Did you actually like the episode, or did you just find it
wasn't
interesting?
my favorite of the now 6 that we've seen.
Yeah.
Just mainly because I was just so confused about why we were here for for most of the duration of it. But I mean, I ended up sort of admiring it, but by the end, Aubrey Plaza.
Oh yeah,
Aubrey Plaza. I thought was amazing this episode. That dance sequence, that we got early on, in which she's just sort of like trampling through like his entire life, and that was just the perfect, just visual
Symbol.
component to understanding really like what's going on with this show. Just seeing this character, the embodiment of evil, just trampling through our main character's memory, life, everything. Like that's the show in itself, and it was done really, really well. So I love that scene.
And I wonder how they're even going to combat it. Like how are they going to get this parasite out?
I know. There's only 2 episodes left.
Really? I know, it's crazy.
It's only an 8-episode season.
Yeah, it's limited.
And it was just renewed for a season 2.
Yeah. The one thing I didn't like about this episode, though, is like even in this crazy whacked out dream state, that weird guy with the curly hair is still like a giant ass.
The Eye,
like
that's his name.
He can't, like, even being in this weird scenario, he can't even escape being like this horrible dude.
It's true.
Sounds like lots to wrap up in a couple episodes if they do wrap it up.
Yeah, it's not building to something. Like, it's not building to something very clear that I can see. But I'm still excited
like,
to see where it's going.
Can David rid himself or combat
I guess
or learn to...
Can he come back to reality?
Whatever, with this parasite. That's really what the end game is here, that we've come to learn.
This episode was directed by the same director that directed most, if not all, of the Atlanta episodes.
Right.
Which I thought was interesting. Yeah, Hero something.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
We'll have to see what happens. Now, you guys have also been watching Homeland?
Oh, yeah. Back on the Homeland.
What's going on?
We're in a rough patch, I think, with Homeland.
Homeland is...
I think the last 3 episodes have kind of been dwindling at best, and they're kind of... We're veering into bad Homeland.
I wouldn't say it's bad yet. It's getting there, but
I'm very concerned.
It's in a malaise. Like now we're dealing with Carrie's kid, and that's like obviously it's a big deal, but it really is a distraction from what we really care about from Homeland.
Yeah, anytime Homeland deals with like Carrie's personal life, whether it be her struggles as a mother, reconciling with her own mother, now dealing with this issue with her daughter. That's not Homeland at its best. That's not the Homeland that the show that the audience wants to see. So when it veers into that place, it can become very frustrating because it is such a distraction from the main plot that we tune in every week to get. And even that, I don't know. The main plot. I'm not so sure about
it's
that
just so
anymore.
It's so this season is so black and white in such a weird way that like it's black and white in the sense that we know Carrie has a piece of knowledge that she knows is right, which is the bomber wasn't the bomber. It wasn't the kid.
Is that what the season is even about anymore?
No, I think it's but that's gonna have to play into it.
Like,
somehow.
I don't like. It was really interesting dealing with that in the first 4 or 5 episodes, but now it's just like, oh, Daredal, the supervillain, this parallel Iran nuclear deal with Shavati, all this stuff with Quinn up in the cabin. Like, I'm so confused about what this season is now supposed to be about.
Yeah.
Why have they turned? I mean, I don't know if turned is the right word, but why is Daredal like this ultimate like puppet master? He's got his hand in literally every corner of the show.
Yeah.
What's his motivation? Why is he doing the things that he's doing?
I think his motivation is that he trusts Israeli information 100%.
He what?
He trusts Israeli information 100%.
Right.
And he wants to act on that information. So like when Israel tells him, there's a parallel nuclear. Palestine has a parallel program in North Korea. He wants to act on that like right now. And what's stopping him is people like Saul saying like, "Hey, we can't 100% trust Israeli information. We have to back this up."
Okay.
And I think he's trying to suppress any people that.
But just his methods.
That's not. That is me. I had to think long and hard about why Dar was doing these things.
That's a reasonable explanation. But like,
it's not
the lengths
well.
that he's going to thwart like everyone else on the show. The president-elect, Carrie, Saul, Quinn.
Yeah.
We have to talk about Quinn this week because it took up like half the episode. That was actually pretty boring. I
tracking that guy, and then he wasn't the right guy, and then the right guy showed up, and then he for some reason he took the bullets out of the gun
because he was paranoid about Astrid's motives. But man, what a sad way for that character to go out. She's been on the show for 3 years now, and she was a welcome presence. I really enjoyed seeing her in the sporadic parts of each season that she popped up in, and just the way that she went out, it just felt devoid of purpose. I would have liked a lot more from her. Like they brought her back just like 2 episodes ago, only for her to play babysitter to Quinn, and to go out that way was disappointing.
Yeah, let's hope it gets better.
I mean, we gotta get this train back on track.
Yeah, someone's got to save the ship. I'm hoping it's Saul. I think Saul, if anyone can do it,
I did enjoy seeing Carrie and Saul finally working together again.
Yeah,
that was welcome. Yeah. So more of that, please.
Here's hoping.
You guys mind if I kick off our quick hits?
No, please.
Gotta talk a little DS, Designated Survivor. Now, we're 2 episodes deep now since our, what is it called, the mid-season break or whatever.
Yep.
All these shows are doing now. So at the end of the first half of the season, as those of you that may have watched the Oscars or possibly the Super Bowl know, there was an assassination attempt.
Right.
And Mike, I want to ask you, do you know who was shot?
I believe it was President Kirkman.
So there was an ongoing theory that it was the wife.
Oh, was that not clear based off the finale of last year?
No, the main theory was that it was the wife that got shot, but no one knew.
Oh, jeez, that's so stupid.
It was not shown. What was
to go into a 3-month break without your audience knowing who got shot?
It's a cliffhanger.
That's a dumb trick.
Walking Dead did that, and everyone sort of.
Come on.
And everyone
anyway,
don't play games with
that. Was the ongoing theory because it almost people were they were
theory crafting
online. They were theory crafting that they, you could sort of see that the bullet hit her, and when they opened episode 1, it begins with the shot takes place. And then she falls over, President Kirkman's wife, and then he takes her in her arms and says, "You've been shot." And then she was not shot. It was him. It just seemed like in the craziness she got knocked over.
Oh.
It looked like she had been shot, but he was actually shot. Then we go through a whole crazy process where he has to go into surgery. And he's okay, but then he needs to go into another surgery because something happened with his heart. And Peter McLeish takes over as
acting president
of the United States. Now, during his time, he continues to and these are going to be big spoilers. Everything is coming out right now for the first 2 episodes of the new half here. His wife continues, I don't know if you saw this, but him and his wife would continue to have these side conversations where clearly she was in on whatever weird plan they have, and they would continue to do this. And she said to him, you make the best you can out of this time. And he proceeds to do all these weird shit. The guy that shot the president, they cornered him in this house. And he told them to shoot to kill him, and all these little weird things, and things with the stock market to mess things up. And everyone's like, "Why are you doing this?" I'm just going for the main plot points. Then at the very end of the first episode back, finally, what's her name? The Maggie Q plays her. I wrote down her name. Whatever her name is.
Agent Q.
Hannah. No, is it Hannah? Maybe. Agent
Yeah.
Q, yeah. She finally gets in there with the president. She's in his hospital room, and she just says something like, I have to tell you, I have some crazy stuff to tell you.
Oh, yeah,
And
she'd been investigating McLeish, if I remember.
this has
serves.
been going on, but she gets in with President Kirkman.
right.
And like finally, like, because this has been the bane of the entire like show, that it's ridiculous that she has not been able to just get one-on-one time with this man. But finally, she is in there. Then we have the second episode. He comes back, and he's back from his surgery, and he's fine. She tells him everything, but then he says, there's a traitor in the White House, like, but we can't just come out and say, like, we know you're a traitor, like, we need to get something on him, or like, because it's unclear who else is in on it, like his main assistant, like, might be in on it. And then something that I did not see coming happened, and maybe, I don't know, maybe you saw it coming or something. At the end of the episode, the FBI is like trying to listen in on Peter McLeish's conversations. So he's meeting this guy. Like, it's clear, like, he has some trepidations about what's going on. Like, he keeps saying to his wife, like, we can't, like, do this and stuff. Like, so he meets with one of his army buddies or whatever in the middle of the night in a graveyard, and they're listening in. And then, like, he says, like, I lied to everyone, or like he says some incriminating stuff. And then Maggie Q busts in and goes, like, you are under arrest. Like, you lie, like, for lying or whatever.
The vice president is under arrest?
And then the guy he's meeting with, like, takes out a gun or something and, like, pushes her, and Peter McLeish starts to run. And I'm thinking, like,
Oh,
what?
jeez.
Like, what? And then all these FBI agents come out. Then the episode ends. Peter McLeish's wife comes out and points a gun at Maggie Q. It says, like, don't you shoot him. Then the episode ends. Peter McLeish's wife kills him and then kills herself.
A murder-suicide?
Yeah. Isn't that
She
crazy?
takes another vice president. Now he needs another vice president.
Like, what is even, like, I don't know how. I mean, I guess there's a chance they could pull some shit, like maybe
is
the
dead.
bullet didn't kill him or something.
Oh, it wasn't
now
clear.
she put it in her, like, she is dead. Like, I guess there's a chance it's unclear whether he's dead. Like, I think we're meant to take it as he is dead.
Do we know who he's conspiring with? Like, what his motivation is?
We know
what his
so
aim is?
little.
Who turned him?
We know so little. That's why this is killing. Like, this to me is like DS just said everything you thought. Like, you thought this man was the man. Like, well, guess what? Everyone's dead.
From an outsider's perspective, it almost sounds like they said, like, this man's a problem with the show, so we're just gonna kill him and his wife.
Yeah, we're
And
just
then-
gonna move in a different.
Then we brought in.
What do you mean?
We're bringing a new storyline. That is actually good.
We're wiping the slate clean.
I
wow.
couldn't though. Like,
God, how much insanity, tragedy can one country take? I mean, the president is assassination attempt on the president, and then like an episode later, the vice president
he's
murdered-
killed.
murder
Murder-suicide
suicide.
with the second lady.
And we're like 6 months removed from everyone dying. Including the former president and vice president and his entire family.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Is there like another is there a line of succession in place? Like, finally, is who
We'll find out next week.
Yeah, there hasn't been.
do they need to appoint another acting president, or is Kirkman like
Kirkman announced himself.
back on board? Okay.
So they had put stuff in place, like, he was very like, okay, you can still be vice president. Like, he didn't want to clue him off yet. So stuff was in place, and he was back as president. But I've got to tell you, like, I didn't know if it was, like, good or bad or quality or not. But I'll tell you, I was shocked because I did not think that those two were going to die. They've been the main bad guys for the entire show. And then now they're both dead. Or he's been. I did not think they would kill him. I really didn't. I mean, he's the bad guy. But anyway, that was DS. Who can we trust? That's my
That's a good question.
Who's doing this thing? Like, what is going on? I feel like it's going to be we're probably not going to find out for sure.
Do you mind if I switch gears to a completely different type of television show?
Absolutely.
So, one of my favorite Netflix shows is Love, produced by Judd Apatow. It's kind of like a raunchy-ish romantic comedy show, starring Paul Rust and Gillian Jacobs.
Yep.
Is her name? Not Jillian, which I always said. Gillian Jacobs was on Community, which is a show that I loved, and Paul Rust was a writer on Comedy Bang Bang, and you guys know I love that show. He's just really funny indie comedian on the West Coast. It was good to see him have his own show. It's about Paul Rust plays a set teacher for child actors.
A set teacher?
Yeah, so like child actors have to have a certain amount of teaching per day.
Okay.
So they can't actually go to school. They can't go to school, so they have to hire like teachers to come in and teach them in like a on studio classroom.
Yeah.
He
really specific job.
Yeah. Well, he's like an aspiring writer. That's like the closest he can get.
Sure.
And there's a lot of funny stuff that comes out with that. And then Gillian Jacobs is like a producer at a XM like radio, like online radio station or satellite radio station, and they fall in love, and there's this mess. But the thing I really like about season 2 is season 1, they meet, they fall in love, they basically break up, and then at the end they sort of get back together. But the entirety of season 1 takes place over like 3 weeks. But of course, it's been like a year and a half since season 1.
Wait, I'm sorry. I guess I missed this. So we're on to season 2?
We're on to season 2.
Okay.
So season 1 takes place over like 3 weeks, but it's been a long time since season 1. And in season 2, there's obviously the weight of like, oh, these characters are back. We've built a lot of love for this relationship, no pun intended. But sometimes it's fun. There's fun scenes where they kind of talk to people that are out of the relationship, and they'll say like, "Oh man, how long have you known this girl? How long have you been dating?" And he'll be like, "I met her like 3 weeks ago," and it kind of puts things into perspective. Like, this love is new. You know what I mean? But it's really funny and really refreshing, and it's on Netflix, and not a lot of people are watching it.
That sounds pretty cool.
We all can't have assassinating presidencies and murder-suicides.
Can you imagine if, like, the main, like, bad guy in that show, like, all of a sudden was just dead?
That would be pretty cool.
I mean, is any show, though, doing what DS is doing? Not to go back on this, but I mean, everyone died. Come on. Twice? Everyone died at the beginning of the show, and then...
I'm not sure that's a good thing.
Yeah, everyone died twice.
Sorry,
that's the new James Bond.
That wasn't spoken correctly, but that's okay.
You were right.
That does sound like an interesting show, Chris. I might actually check it out.
It's good binge viewing.
Now, Mike, you want to talk about American Crime?
Oh yeah, American Crime premiered this past week for season 3 on ABC Sunday nights. I believe it's probably one of the lowest rated shows on all of TV. It was kind of a miracle that it was brought back.
I feel like you've recently said this about another show.
I said it about Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Okay.
Before you go into this, the thing that always trips me up about American Crime is that there's, of course, American Crime Story on FX that everyone likes.
I think American Crime came first. It did.
It probably came first, but I always forget about American Crime.
It is unfortunate that the names are so closely resemble each other, and they're both, mini-series, event series, whatever, about social justice in America. But, it was back for its 3rd season, miraculously after such a low-rated 2nd season, really strong 2nd season. The show is just spectacular, I think. It is so wonderfully realized and shot, unlike anything on network television. There's cursing, and it's blacked out, but it's there. It just deals with a lot more like intense, serious issues that we're not used to seeing on network TV. In the show, so beautifully, I think, deals with social, economic, racial injustice in America. This season's dealing with a lot of really interesting stuff involving sex trafficking, involving globalization, and what's another big thing. Those are like the two big crux in how globalization impacts.
It's more
like
than
rural,
enough.
What?
It's more than enough. To
Impacts
cover.
like rural farming.
Okay.
There's some immigration stuff as well because it takes place in Texas. But yeah, really, really strong premiere. Regina King is back. Felicity Huffman is back. Whole bunch of actors from previous seasons are back. And I was, really, really impressed with it.
Now, this show isn't based off a real life thing, right? It's not like OJ.
No,
OJ is based off OJ. It's
Tyler-
just it's
Tyler
a reflection
fictitious.
of our society.
What?
It's a reflection.
Yeah, very, very reflective of society. John Ridley, who is the creator, writer, he's got a lot going for him.
Nice.
Very cool. Unfortunate name.
American Crime?
That's true.
Yeah, because it's so similar.
Another show that I don't think has the best name.
What's this going to be?
Big Little Lies.
Why?
That's a fine name.
I always mix it up with that shitty, I think it's a British show, Pretty Little Liars.
I have heard that.
That sounds like a you problem, Chris.
Oh.
Big Little Lies. Well, I did mix it up with Little Big Lies. But as I said last time, and I think neither of you understood, I think they didn't want it to be Little Big League, because Little Big League was that movie.
Sure.
So I'm thinking, of course, this is based on a book, right? So I'm sure that maybe this was all thought about at that point.
That's true.
Rather than on HBO. But also, just realized, nice transition, Chris.
Thank you.
Let's talk about
It was okay.
Big Little Lies.
It was a good transition because it was true. I really don't like that name.
Chris is telling us silently that he actually loves the name. He's holding up hand signals.
Big thumbs up.
No, I'm kidding. But this episode, sort of the episode where we learn everyone's sort of a piece of crap. Everyone's
I know. I mean, this episode brought a lot more shading on a lot of characters that we had otherwise had more or less positive opinions of. Particularly Madeline and her husband, Adam Scott's character.
I know.
I don't really... I don't feel that bad about Adam Scott's character. He made like an off-colored joke, which he
Right.
immediately apologized for.
Wait,
Then he looked at someone's ass.
the sweat thing?
Yeah.
I
think it was
feel
even
like
a joke,
the
was it?
show.
Was it?
I mean, he
Or
was sort of
he
like
made a weird comment.
he was sort of set up though as like the perfect husband, the perfect man.
Yeah.
He was.
I think there's more.
The show
The show
definitely
is sort of
setting something up.
attacking that notion that maybe he isn't
Yeah,
all
I
that
think
great,
so.
which is significant, I think.
Yeah. It wants you to know that.
I'm so sad because he's just... He was like one of the only... Like, he was just a nice guy. Like, that we could count on.
I know it was a book, but it's the classic HBO thing of like everyone's varying shades of gray. Like there really is no perfect people.
Maybe they brought in George R.R. to write some of the...
Yeah.
Everyone's...
It might be
everyone
just
has
as,
a dark side.
it might be just as bloody by the end of the season.
Yeah.
Oh, you know.
And of course, we learned that Madeline's been having a year. Well, a year ago she did, but who knows whether it's continued
I
to
mean, that was
go
a
on.
bombshell, right?
An affair with the play director.
That was
the
a
hell?
bombshell.
Which is-
What the hell, Madeline?
Which is such a LA problem. My wife's having an affair with a local play director. And they make it such a big deal, which I guess it is. But
It is a big deal.
it is a big deal. But I did like how that scene showed that she like does not give a shit about like lying to her close friends. Like she'll be like, he
Right,
kissed
she's
me.
lying to her. I
then
think she's
it'll-
also just lying to herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she's telling herself that this
That's a
is
good
something
point.
that she wants. This is something that she did not have any responsibility in.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's being very dishonest with everyone in her life, including herself. And that director guy, getting some weird vibes about him.
I know everyone had like a little weird vibe.
Like he's like kissing her out in public like that. How could he be doing that?
I think
making
maybe
that
he just loves her.
yeah, making a scene.
He just loves her. But remember about Madeline lying. Famous George Costanza quote: "It's not a lie if you believe it."
That's
And
true.
That's Madeline.
Yeah, if anyone can force a lie into existence, it would be Madeline.
But no, okay. So before we get a little bit more into that, I had sort of like a general question. I guess it's about Jane. Jane is the single mother, right?
Yeah.
Why is it only her we get these like constant violent, like we're not sure if it's actually happening, really quick moments? Now they're very like jarring or whatever, but we get like her shooting someone moment, and like we've continued
her jumping off the cliff. That's how the episode ends.
Yeah, but like you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Like, does anyone else get these moments? Like, we just get these like very like crazy or violent moments that like for a split second
Fantasies.
we're not sure if it's happening.
I'd say they're fantasies.
Yeah.
But like when she had the thing, like I guess it was a little bit more extended when like the guy was breaking in.
Yeah.
Like I know that was a more extended one, but like that seemed to me like it was happening until
the
she
show's
shot
been
him.
a lot more internal with her character more than any other.
That's true, but yeah, I just
Well, she's got the realest, not issues, but she's had the most reason to
Right.
need that.
And I feel like, whatever's going on with her is really at the center of everything else.
what's so cool is like that it's already like, would you guys call how would you frame this show? Would you say what we're looking at is the past, or would you say that the murder is the future? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it opened with the murder.
I'd say we're looking backwards.
I sort of
working
feel
our
like
way up to present
I
day.
know it doesn't feel right, but like I sort of feel like we're in the present, and that we're got
flashing
a
forward.
split of like we got a little taste of the future because we're so. But I guess it is in the past. I mean, it's definitely in the
That
past.
sure really matters.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, framing, Mike.
Sure.
You know, so it's like how
Yeah,
to
Mike.
think about stuff. You know, so sometimes it's nice to think about framing and whether.
Ever heard of Quentin Tarantino?
Sure.
But
I know
my thought was all of this is sort of like we already know that all of this is going to boil to a point where someone dies. So it's like we're looking at all this stuff and being like, oh yeah, your husband's cheating on you, like nice, like rich white people problems. But we know it's going to be at least some sort of contributing factor to someone's death. So like we know that's going to happen, which is interesting. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like typically it would be like
Well,
the big thing at the end of the season is that
Yeah.
someone died, but we already know that someone died.
what it does is it adds a weight to everything, where you're kind of in your mind making mental notes of, could this be the reason why someone died? Where if we didn't have these flash forwards to the police, to the police talking, then we wouldn't have that weight in these scenes, and we just you might forget about or not put importance on certain things.
But yeah, I mean, the big bombshell to me was Madeline's cheating. And then we also had the Madeline... Is her husband's name? Nathan, I think?
her ex-husband.
Ex-husband, sorry. Nathan. Like, that was sort of... like, weird, too. Like, I know we didn't get to the dinner, but, like, all of that, I think, sort of, like, gave us a little view into... like Nathan got wicked pissed when she started bringing up like his shortcomings and stuff like that, like about what he. It's just, I'm trying to think of like who like he could have killed someone. Like they all have these little like character traits where it's like they could just get really pissed and that happened. But we got like that scene too, and then the Ed stuff. I know you don't think it's a big deal, Chris, but they made him seem a little creepy. Even his like sort of like cutesy Elvis dancing, that was a little creepy.
He loves to dress up and dance.
He loves to dress
That's not
up.
weird.
I don't know, it's just a weird little detail.
I guess so.
You get it, like taking all of that. Okay, clearly him making the sweaty comment was inappropriate at the very least. It was
Oh, yeah.
weird. And
He
then
loves a
to
woman that
slap
sweats.
on to the end of that him checking out someone's ass, like that combo, Chris.
I agree. In the show, it's meant for you to say like, "Oh, this guy's a little weird," but I don't think it's that.
Yeah, I agree. In like real life, it wouldn't really.
Yeah, but
it
it's-
wouldn't really equal like, oh, this guy's a murderer.
Yeah, but in the show they want you to think
We're seeing
something.
the side of Ed for a reason.
But
And we got to talk a little bit about what's going on with Celeste and her abusive husband.
well, speaking of, let's talk about that first. But I think Celeste was the MVP of this episode.
She's the MVP of the show for me. I love what Nicole
you
Kidman's
can make
doing
that
in this
argument
role.
for sure.
That
Jeff's
mediation scene or whatever was
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. But I'd say that Jeff's prediction did come true, and
What was it?
that the guy that I call him Eric because from True Blood. Celeste, Perry came in. He started asking little cute questions, and then he didn't like the answers, so he started getting a little physical.
Well, it's easy to predict a thing that happens on every episode, Chris.
But we'll say
Again,
this
though,
in defense.
I mean, we see every time we see it. It sort of progresses the story a little bit forward. We learn a little bit more about what's going on. Particularly with the children, I think that was of significance that he stops immediately as they enter the room. That could be foreshadowing
it was much quicker.
something that's going on with those kids at their school.
Yeah.
I just wish, one of these times, I just want her to, motion down to the firearm that she's now carrying on her waist or something and be like, let's just end this, same thing that happens every time with you asking questions.
Maybe she will in the season finale.
Let's just
I'm
cut to
carrying
this.
now. Right? Because, it's just so frustrating. And I in no way, am saying, because clearly she's a victim and all that. It's horrible in her character. But, as far as, a story, I really wish that we had a little bit more, a little bit more movement on that. But I do see, outside of that same exact thing happening, she clearly seems to be getting in, the lawyer zone, I'm going to take control a little bit more zone, which I'd love to see.
Yeah, well, that boardroom meeting with the mayor was phenomenal.
Legally, you've lost.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
She had some, and then
I
she's
think I'm
wearing...
going to take that line with me and use it in some capacity.
I don't know if I can take another Perry, because I'm just thinking when she was wearing the suit and he found the suit in her closet. Great suit.
Great
Whatever,
suit.
great power suit.
Power suit. But I cannot take another. Every single time Perry does his classic thing, it's why didn't we talk about this? That's every time.
Why did you lie to me?
Yeah, it's every time he says, why didn't we talk about this, we know we're going down the exact same path and we're going to have to deal with that.
But she stands up to him, though. It's interesting. She doesn't back down
Really
at
weird
any point until
dynamic.
he grabs a hold of her.
She
and
did say,
physically hurts
are
her.
you going to hit me now? And then he said, do you want me to hit you, Celeste?
There is some weird power game that they play with one another.
I just a piece of shit like him, though. I wonder about,
He is the worst.
if she just one day, and I think about this in, I guess a lot of abusive relationships, he's probably, the biggest coward ever if, one day she was just a lot stronger than him. I think about, that, I know it can't happen because, the dynamics of that and abuse and stuff is that he is, physically stronger. But he's almost certainly not mentally stronger. So it's just if she was just able to be physically stronger than him or just demonstrate that once, I wonder would the marriage fall apart or because if he doesn't have that control anymore and now it's I know this is sort of a that's not going to happen. Well,
Maybe-
or she
maybe
could
we'll
start
find
carrying
out.
a firearm and then I don't know. I just feel that would be so crazy if all of a sudden she just carried a taser at all times, even like a taser. She could just
We
tase
need
him
to
down.
get her a taser or some pepper spray.
Yeah.
Some sort of deterrent to keep his paws off of her.
Or call the police.
It's still she should get out of that relationship.
If she called the police, what happened, they would show up at the house, he would explain away whatever, they would leave, and then he would kill her.
Oh,
Do you think so?
Oh my god! Although I have to say I'm not sure about that because at the therapist, he was more open than I thought he was going to be about getting physical. Now he was barely open at all, but I thought
I didn't buy
would,
it. I thought it was for show.
It was on his terms.
I was almost thinking it was like the thought of it was getting me pissed. I was thinking he might claim that like she was beating the kids at the therapist or something and like completely screw her over. Like I was thinking that he was going to come out with something like that. So in my mind, who thought he might come out with some crazy stuff like that, I was actually pleased with how like he was sort of
At
open.
what point does the therapist say this is a clear like abuse situation that's going on? I need to get involved here.
I know.
She understands that there's something insidious.
Definitely. That must be like the
ongoing.
hardest part of being a therapist, like knowing when to intervene. You
Also,
know?
remember, this is a work of fiction, so the therapist will always be like a little bit too late.
Come on, Chris.
So the story can be interesting.
Well, we'll see. But yeah, that's a.
I would think there's like some clear protocol though, on like how to handle such a situation.
I bet there's some ethical protocol there, like
I
when
think
someone's in
probably-
danger.
I think maybe if like there's admittance that there's ongoing stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't really know though, but I would assume like if you're talking about like he got physical with me 10 years ago or something, you can't be like But I assume like I feel like maybe if there's like ongoing
imminent
stuff,
danger.
Yeah.
You know what? We should ask our good friend Tony. He's a therapist, so he would know.
That's a good call. Good call. Well, maybe we can have him phone in next time. But
He's a marriage counselor.
But let me ask this. And one
Unlicensed.
more thought before we end here. Okay, Ziggy. Is this a red herring that the therapist has given him a clean bill of he's the best kid ever?
It might. It was really.
I'd be
it was
really
too over the
disappointed
top.
in that therapist if it turns out that he is the bully. Like, I don't know.
I know.
I feel like Ziggy is off the hook. He has to be.
She was so over the top. Like he's just great. Like he's just
It
great.
was. Yeah.
Like it makes me think it cannot be.
Yeah. She was like.
It made me uncomfortable.
He's like perfect. If anything, you're the problem. So sorry about that.
Oh, that was funny. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. But in the meantime, guys, where can people find you online, Mike?
On Twitter at linguistics_, and as always, ScreeningClub.com.
And Chris?
Twitter.com/ThatMorris and ScreeningClub.com. And I want to say before I go, I know everyone's waiting with bated breath. Next week I will have watched the first episode of The Iron Fist. And I'll be 100% honest if it's shitty or not.
What is that?
It's the new Netflix superhero show, and it's supposed to be very bad.
The show has been critically lampooned.
And I love my Netflix superhero shows, and I'll be 100% honest if it's shitty or not.
Oh, we can't now.
Are you saying that you're not usually honest about that kind of stuff?
I'm just saying,
I think
if there's
he
any...
is.
People know my biases, they know what I like and what I don't like, and I want to reassure people out there, I'm coming at you with the truth next week.
But can you be honest with yourself?
We'll see, won't we?
You might be in denial about how bad it is.
Might be.
We'll
see.
definitely be waiting for that. And did you say, Chris, where can we find you?
I already said, but twitter.com/ThatMorris and ScreeningClub.com.
We're going to have to even things out. Mike, can you say again? No, I'm just kidding. I'll say mine. Guys, you can reach me, therealjeffmoore.com, or on Twitter, the nice easy Jeffam, Jeffam. You can also find all of us on ScreeningClub.com, where you can get more articles, insight, and share your thoughts. You can send us comments at ScreeningClub@gmail.com. Please rate and subscribe. We love engaging and interacting with you guys. And follow us on Twitter at Screening Club. And until then, guys, have a great week of TV watching, and we will catch up with you next week.
See ya.
God bless.